Hello guys, welcome back in Goku Manhwa channel. Let's continue. Boeum Taiha pushed the door open slowly, expecting an empty room, but the moment it creaked, he saw Hiso lying there. The sight of her stunned him completely. For a second, he couldn't even breathe, because he had not expected to see her like this. He stepped inside, almost out of instinct, drawn to her presence more than anything else. But before he could get close, she shifted slightly on the bed, still half lost in sleep, and told him not to come any closer. Her voice was soft, frustrated, as if she had been fighting with her own thoughts even while resting. Taiha froze, and then she mumbled again, calling him Boeum Taiha, telling him that she already knew it was him. He stood there shocked, wondering how she could recognize him even in this hazy dreamlike state. But then she murmured that she wasn't meeting him today. The anger in her tone was clear even though she wasn't fully awake. She hugged her pillow tightly, turning away from him like she was protecting herself from the disappointment she felt. Taiha remained standing beside her, unsure whether to move or speak, just watching her breathe unevenly as she dreamt. Slowly, she began talking again, almost like she was confessing to the empty room. She asked why he only came in her dreams. She said that yesterday it happened, and the day before too, and every day it was the same cycle. She looked troubled, even in sleep, her eyebrows furrowing as if she was reliving the same longing again and again. She murmured that even when she saw him, she would wake up immediately, as if the moment she got close, reality would pull her away. The loneliness in her voice deepened when she whispered that he never came at all, that she was the only one waiting. She hugged the pillow even tighter, almost desperately, while Taiha looked down at her with a mixture of sadness and guilt. She continued speaking in her dream, remembering promises he once said, about coming in even if it was cold, about not minding the cramped space, about being fine with leaving his things here. Yet he never came. She complained softly that he wouldn't answer her calls, and that it hurt more than she expected it to. Each word made Taiha's disappointment in himself grow heavier, and he couldn't stop himself from stepping closer. He leaned down, reached for her arm, and gently pulled her toward him. Hiso stirred and finally looked up at him, her eyes confused and filled with the same frustration she had expressed in her sleep. She repeated that she told him not to come in, even though she was still dreaming. She asked why he wouldn't listen to her, why even in her dreams he ignored the boundaries she tried to set. Taiha lowered himself closer, stopping just near her cheek, breathing in the fragile moment between them as she looked back at him, still caught between longing and hurt. Boeum Taiha was over her, their bodies close enough that Hiso could feel the weight of him against her. He admitted the truth in a low, conflicted tone, saying he didn't like how good she was, how easily she affected him. He pressed a soft kiss to her neck, slow and unsure, as if he didn't know whether he was allowed to want her this much. Hiso spoke with a trembling voice, confessing that she was scared he wouldn't come back because she had once told him to leave. The fear in her words lingered between them for a moment before they leaned into each other and kissed, desperate and searching. She murmured that she had been lying even in her sleep, pretending she didn't want him there. Taiha reached for her hands, holding both of them firmly, gripping tighter as if he was afraid she would disappear. They kissed again, this time deeper, warmer, and she whispered that everything felt too hot, too intense. She said that tonight's dream felt especially cruel because of how real everything seemed. They were completely caught up in each other, the closeness, the way their bodies fit together, the weight of him pressing down against her. She breathed that the heaviness of his body felt too real to be a dream, and a confused expression crossed her face. She admitted that even if it was a dream, he felt different, larger, overwhelming, and she didn't understand why his presence felt so heavy against her. She asked why he kept pressing himself closer, sounding more confused than upset. They wrapped their arms around each other, holding tightly as if neither wanted to let go. He remained above her, and she whispered that something felt strange, that she should have woken up by now if this truly was a dream. Taiha stared down at her, meeting her eyes, and for a long moment they were both silent, trying to understand what was happening. She looked back at him with the same uncertainty he felt. His gaze fell to her lips again, and the longing between them sharpened. They both looked like they were waiting, wanting the same thing without needing to say out loud. She breathed a soft maybe, unsure if reaching for him was the right thing or not. Then she quietly said his name, Boeum Taiha, as if needing to confirm it. He answered, calm and steady. She asked again if it was really him, if he was truly the one with her in that moment. And again, he said yes, confirming his presence, his reality, and everything she was feeling. Hiso kept staring at Boam Taiha as if she still couldn't believe he was there. Even after he confirmed he was the one with her, she asked again, almost in a whisper, if it was really him. He answered the same way he had before, steady and simple, saying yes again. She looked away slowly, her expression twisting with confusion, and said that if he was really here, then this must be a dream. Taiha watched her closely, catching every little shift in her face, while she murmured how lucky she felt, even in the middle of her confusion. She added that in reality he never spoke to her informally, and that alone made this moment feel unreal. He reached for her hand, holding it firmly, but she was too caught up in her own thoughts to settle. She kept repeating for him to tell her this was a dream, not once or twice, but 4 times, her voice growing more breathless each time as if she desperately wanted the answer to match her hope. She wanted it to be her dream, the kind she could control, the kind where he would stay. Her eyes drifted to the teddy bear that Poonam Taiha had once given her, a small reminder of him sitting quietly nearby. She spoke softly, saying he wouldn't answer her calls, and that it hurt her more than he knew. She insisted again that this had to be a dream, because the real him would never show up like this. Taiha chuckled faintly under his breath, unable to stop himself. He asked her what she wanted him to do, his tone low as he reached up and placed his hand around her neck, gently guiding her closer to him. His voice was firmer when he told her this wasn't a dream. He pulled her fully against him, making it impossible for her to look away or distance herself from the moment. But Hiso suddenly paused and told him to wait. She pulled back slightly, her mind shifting to something completely different. She apologized for borrowing his clothes without asking, saying it quickly, almost stumbling over her words. She moved away from his hold and tried to straighten the fabric of the shirt she was wearing, saying they had gotten really wrinkled. Taiha watched her silently, trying to understand her sudden nervousness. She promised she would wash them and return them properly. She even said she would iron them, already turning away from him and trying to go get his clothes. Before she could take more than a few steps, Taiha reached out and caught her again, pulling her back toward him with a firm, unhesitating grip. Boam Taiha held her firmly, not letting her slip away again. He told her that it was obvious she would get caught, yet she still kept running and running, as if she couldn't stop herself. There was a hint of frustration mixed with affection in his voice as he said it. He added that this must be her type of thing, something she always did, running away even when she knew he would catch her. Hiso felt the words hit deeper than she expected, because it was true. She always ran, and he always found her again. They drifted closer, their bodies pulled into the same space without even thinking about it. She whispered that it felt like her brain was melting, the moment so intense that she couldn't hold any clear thought. Being this close to him overwhelmed her, but in the kind of way she secretly wanted. She was having a good time with him, a rare feeling she didn't want to let disappear. She wanted him to stay with her forever, because losing him was the one thing she feared most. And she knew, just from the way he held her, that he didn't want to lose her either. His arms tightened slightly, like he wanted to keep her with him for as long as possible. He said he liked it, the closeness, the feeling, the way she responded to him. Taiha looked at her again, observing her expression, and something proud flickered across his face, as if just being the one she held onto made him feel important in a way he couldn't explain. She said something soft again, and he looked at her with that same expression, proud and sure of what he felt for her. Then, without breaking eye contact, he opened his belt. She saw the motion, saw what he was about to do, and her breath caught. Before she could react, he told her not to push him away. His voice wasn't forceful, just filled with something raw and honest, as if he was admitting a fear he had kept quiet for too long. She didn't want to push him away. She adored him deeply, more than she ever allowed herself to admit out loud. She adored him so much it scared her, so she stayed still, looking at him with all the emotion she kept hidden. Taiha's gaze turned even deeper, filled with a wanting that was directed only at her, and no one else. He told her that when she pushed him away before, it hurt him more than she realized. His voice held the truth of someone who had felt that pain for a long time. She knew he was right. They were both afraid of losing each other. They were made for each other in ways neither of them had been brave enough to say, and that made the possibility of separation feel like it would break them both. They stayed there, close and trembling with everything they felt, fear, longing, and the quiet understanding that they were finally facing the truth they had run from.